Or her, or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
What up, boys and girls? It's your boy Crazy Nation here, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna talk about a pretty personal story, and this is gonna be the first of many story times. So last week, my job calls me, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, we need you to come in." And I'm like, "Man, I'm not even really supposed to be in." But I'm like, you know what? I'll do it anyway. It is what it is. I had off the day before because of a snowstorm. So I get in there, the situation's screwed. I ended up almost being by myself, but then they pulled some people from different areas, so I was pretty much golden the rest of the day. They pretty much knocked out everything I needed done. So in my head, I'm like, yo, I can actually probably get out of here early. So I do the basics, you know. I clean the floors, clean the counters. I'm a deli clerk, by the way. So I'm like, alrighty, I'm gonna work on the slicers last. I get all the debris on the floor first, work on the slicers, get all that stuff on the floor, sweep, and then we'll just go through the slicer. So, you know, I'm getting all the proper equipment on. I'm getting the anti-cut gloves, the regular gloves on top of that. And the one thing that I failed to do, and this one, it was important because it's what ended up getting me cut, I did not pull the slicer from the power source, and it ended up catching my glove and taking a huge chunk out of me. So in my head, I'm thinking, you know what, I didn't see the chunk at first. I'm good, I'm just bleeding. And then when I realized, oh, I'm bleeding a lot, I'm like, okay, let me see if there's anything. Oh, and there's like a chunk of me in the slicer. I'm like, I'm over here trying to cut a half pound of myself, not ham or anything myself. I'm like, okay. So I realized after a while I started bleeding, so I'm like, alrighty, it's not gonna stop. I called the manager over, and then and that kind of sounded like I was dying. I was like, yeah, I need a manager. Dying over here. Not really, but so she comes over, she realizes that I'm bleeding a lot. She's like, alrighty. I'm over here reassuring her. I'm like, yo, you slap a band-aid on this, I can get back to work, and I can still be a baddie on time. Yeah, that wasn't happening. So we head on to the back. I call the proper people so they can get my case together, because since it's a work incident, you have to have all this stuff. Don't know why, but you just do. So I head over to the hospital. It's been like 45 minutes already. Before, so I waited an additional 45 minutes, so it's almost been it's been about like an hour and 20 minutes or so before the doc looks at it. By that point, it's still bleeding. They dipped my hand into some peroxide. It's still bleeding though. The thing shot into the cup like freaking like you're at a carnival playing one of those clown games with guns. I was like, oh my god, it's still bleeding. So when the doc swings around like 5 minutes later, he's like, he looks at it, still bleeding, by the way. I'm like, okay, this is not good. I'm gonna need stitches. Nope. He was like, yo, we're gonna need to cauterize that. I'm like, oh, okay. So in my head, I immediately flash back to the scene where John Rambo freaking burns that one thing and puts it in his room. I was like, no, hell no. That shit's gonna hurt. But it's a lot more simple than I thought. So they pretty much, they numb my middle finger. Yeah, it would be on my middle finger, so now I can't flip people off as much. The first time they did it, it was like a light pinch. The second time they did it, I was like, holy hell. It's like I got pinched by a fucking crab or some shit. And because I still felt it, the third time that he did it, he jammed it right into the cut, pushes it, and I don't feel anything in my entire middle finger for the rest of the night. By the way, after that, my whole middle finger was just, it was numb. I can move it, but I just didn't really feel anything. So he's over there burning away whatever it's at. I'm over here at that point. It didn't hurt, nor was I scared. I'm over here looking, asking questions. Like, so what you doing over there? Like I'm trying to learn something. Like I'm actually gonna be doing it one day, which I'm not, because I hate the sight of my own blood. So I can only imagine how I hate the sight of somebody else's. So after that, I get my tetanus shot just to be on the safe side and make sure I had one, and I was on my way. And the entire time I'm thinking, yo, am I gonna be able to play PlayStation? I'm like, I hope I can't. I hope this is gonna be one of those things that's not gonna make me not want to play PlayStation. And weirdly enough, my hand's been fine. Like, yes, it's a little bit irritating sometimes. Like, it stings a little bit. I mean, it's healing perfectly fine. It's annoying. And imagine trying to use back buttons with these things. It's just. So, long story short, if you're going to be working at a deli with some slicers, make sure you wear the proper equipment first. On top of that, before you touch the slicer, make sure you unplug the slicer from the power source. I can't even tell you how important that is. Otherwise, you're probably going to be missing more than a chunk. I got lucky. I have one of those instinctive things where I like to yank my hand out of places at the last second. I'm alright, one of those people who they'll get hurt and they'll leave their hand where they're still being hurt. So, I don't know. But I definitely yanked that out. And I was like, shit, fuck, I cut myself on my day off. It shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. Anyway, that's it. That's the first story time of many. Hopefully you guys like the next story time I'm coming up with. I'm still thinking of one. I mean, I got plenty of stories for days. There's just a lot of funny shit that goes on. Actually, I think I already know what I'm going to do for the next video. Anyways, my name is Crazy Nation. Thank you guys for tuning in to the story time. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you guys later, and stay cool.
Never mind. Oh,